Hi, this is Daniela Wolf with Bestie Life, the podcast, and this is your community to support you through the little and not so little events that make up your day-to-day life. From the I've got this moments to the I just can't moments. We are here to empower all women to find and develop the skills they need to find peace, balance, and the bliss in their busy. Through solo episodes as well as interviews with amazing women who share their journey and their story and how it works for you. I hope you find the inspirations to make you laugh, think, as well as maybe rethink what you thought you knew, and connect as we realize that we are all living similar ups and downs and don't have to do it alone. So excited for you to hear this episode, and thanks so much for joining me today. Hi, this is Daniela with Bestie Life, the podcast, and today I'm excited for you to meet Christine Stone. She has been an organizing expert for over 12 plus years. She is the owner of Neatly Designed. She is a motivational speaker and mom of two. And so thank you so much, Christine, for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
I know that was incredibly brief and didn't really encompass everything about you and all that you do. So if you could share a little bit more about your background.
Okay, I am a mother of two adult daughters. I've been married for over 33 years and I live at the beach in Jacksonville, Florida. And I became an organizer just out of passion by organizing for friends, family members, and then one person would tell another person, would tell another person. And this was 14 years ago, pre-social media. Mm-hmm. And it was a slow snowball effect. And I realized something that I just absolutely loved doing was a real job. And back then it really wasn't what it is today. So I had to do a lot of deep dive research and do everything I could to make it a real business so that people would take me seriously and legitimately.
And I think definitely the fact that it started from a place of passion, they say our zone of genius comes from those things that just come easily for us that we don't even realize is something other people struggle with. And, definitely seeing what you do and how you do it, you do make it look so easy. And you can see that passion and just that simplicity that you bring to organizing. Because I think sometimes the idea of it can be scary and overwhelming, which might cause people to procrastinate and just avoid it. And so what are some of the myths or things that you see when you start working with someone?
Well, one myth is that you don't have to purge. You just have to move things around. And I am known as the purge professional locally in my town because, in my opinion, if you do not purge, you are just moving stuff around and you're never going to really love the end result because everybody has some things that they don't need, they don't use, and they don't love. So the first thing is to purge, and the rest is just so simple because really starting small, like with a junk drawer, a medicine cabinet. Don't try to tackle the entire house at one time because you'll just throw in the towel. It will get overwhelming. You'll stop and eat a snack, and then you'll decide to catch up on a Netflix episode, and you'll just never finish. So starting with something very small, making it achievable, making it something you can finish will motivate and inspire you to move on to the next smaller area in your home.
And I love that because I think it is so easy to get either distracted by things in your home, or I fall down the wormhole of all of a sudden I start looking through whether it's pictures or the books or the things I'm trying to get rid of. And there's, another hour gone that I was like, just got caught up in the past or different things like that.
Yeah. And if it's emotional clutter, you have to take that into consideration, like any kind of sentimental items you're going through. You have to realize that's not going to be a quick process because there are emotions tied to that. And so I always like to say to leave the sentimental clutter to last and maybe have a really close friend or a professional help you with that. Never have a family member because they're as invested as you are, and everything you try to throw away, they will try to grab back in and guilt you into keeping it. So always tackling any kind of sentimental items is best to leave to last.
I love that tip because I've never actually really heard it laid out that way. And I think it is so important to separate, there's different kinds of clutter.
Yes.
And I think some of the, junk mail that comes in is very different than going through whether it's your kids' art projects, which when school starts in a couple of weeks are probably going to be almost every day. And you're like, what do I do with all these things? And it is a very different process for each thing. So I love that you separate it so that it doesn't feel like you failed at one just because you didn't do all of it all at once.
Yes, and just the other day, we had done a project and it took us a while. And then we were moving to the bathroom and they were like, oh, well, we'll have to, schedule another day and a half or so. And I said, no one has sentimental stuff in the bathroom. Bathrooms are the easiest area to start with, to organize, to declutter, because there isn't a lot of emotional clutter in a bathroom. So you're right. Every area has its own set of how we're going to deal with it and what needs to be I always like to tell everyone, I get my ducks in a row before I even get to their house, because you really do have to put yourself in the mindset. Are we, decluttering, just a bathroom? Or are we taking on an entire storage unit that has nothing but memories? It really is a big difference.
And I know when you and I had pre-chatted before today, one of the things you brought up, which is part of something I'm really passionate about, are systems. Systems when it comes to taking the pressure off, systems when it comes to the process of maintaining, because I know that's another piece. People are like, okay, now once I clean or I organize and I get all this done, how do I maintain it? And systems are definitely something I'm passionate about when it comes to self-care in general. But how does it apply to organizing and maintaining your home?
Well, the one question I am asked the most is, okay, now I'm all organized, but how do I stay organized? And the first thing I always tell people is don't beat yourself up. Most of my clients are repeat clients. Every now and then, especially a mom with young kids or somebody who works full time and things just, get a little out of control again, they call me up, I go in. So I call it just like a little bit of a cleanup, maybe once or twice a year. So that's the first thing, because people make themselves feel so guilty if they can't stay on top of something that comes very, very easy to me. So that's where I try to inspire and motivate people to say, this is something I'm really good at, but it's just something you're trying to maintain. So setting up systems is key, but the reason why it's key is because if you have husband, significant other, children, you're not the only one going in these doors. You're not the only one walking through the door from whatever your activity is of the day. So setting up systems, whether it's hooks for backpacks or, shoe shelves or anything coming in, a tray for your keys, a system for all the artwork that comes in from the kids. You always have to have a system if you want it to stay in place and stay organized.
Absolutely, because having the hook is very different than getting your kids to actually put the stuff on the hooks, for
Yes.
sure. If you saw my mudroom, the shoes spilling out of the cubbies, it's like, I don't even know why they're there sometimes.
Well, shoes are a whole nother thing, because everybody seems to have 20 pairs of shoes each just sitting outside in the garage or in the mudroom. So that's why purging, I always say, is so important, because without taking some things out, you're always adding more stuff back in.
Right. And definitely, it sounds like you're talking a little bit too, like there's a difference between cleaning and decluttering. Would you say that's correct?
Absolutely, that is correct.
Can you
Absolutely.
clarify that a little bit more just so people can really understand? Because I think sometimes people are like, oh, my house is a mess. But that's very different than having to do like a bigger decluttering, right?
Absolutely. Because when I go to a client's house that has young kids, for instance, they have, like, their shoulders are hunched over, they've beaten themselves up, that there's toys everywhere. It's my job to go in and really say, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. Your house isn't dirty. You don't, I don't see filth, I see clutter. And the reason that is two different things is because once we declutter, the shoulders go back, the smile goes on the face, and they're just so much happier having less of all the things all over the house when you have young kids, different toys, different items for school. So decluttering and having someplace be dirty are way two different things.
And part of why I love talking about this is because I don't think people recognize what a big part of your organization and the way you decorate is part of your self-care. Like you said, just even physically, the shoulders go back, the smile, the relaxation, having your space feed you in a way that, brings some calm or fills you up, naturally provides some self-care without any extra effort. You want your home to be that sanctuary you walk into at the end of the day and all your hecticness. And so setting up these systems are going to help maintain that self-care part of it on a regular basis.
Absolutely. And pre-COVID, I had always talked in whether I was speaking to groups or speaking on social media, the importance of having a simplified, peaceful home to come home to at the end of the day. Just through the 2 years of COVID, people were finally saying to me, I have to get my house in a peaceful place. I have to simplify. I'm stuck at home and I have nowhere to escape. I used to be able to escape this mess. I used to escape these things and I can't do it anymore. And I have to tell you, the 2 years during COVID were practically the busiest time I'd ever been because people couldn't escape what they were living in. And after I left, I would get text messages, emails, just such gratitude on, I feel like I can breathe again. I feel like my family's happier. My husband's happier. I'm happier every time I walk in the door. It really does make a difference what you come home to at the end of the day.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Which is why I love just all the simple, actionable things that you share in regarding to this. But now I do want to kind of take a little peek behind the curtain because I think sometimes people assume, you're a professional organizer, you declutter, your house must be perfect and immaculate. And I think I want to bust that myth open because we're all people. We all have lives. We all live in our homes. And like you said, there's a difference between having a system and having a life. And so what would be an area that you would kind of say people assume you have all together, but maybe you don't?
Well, I always bust the myth because I have a husband who is extremely unorganized, and people would never think that because I'm an organizer. I also have one daughter that is extremely organized, but the other one isn't. And so what I have done through the years is set up systems and say for instance, my husband, he has a whole entire dresser. Sometimes you have to give up the battle as long as you have a space for them. There's an area in my house that I say to him, you have these 4 drawers, for all his stuff. And I say, I'm not looking in it. If you ever need my help and want me to help you clear that out, I'm there for you. But I'm not going to keep going in those drawers and trying to, you have to also give people their space and not have it take over the whole house. That's what I think is key, is you shouldn't expect everyone to be uber organized because it's called living life. But it's more about simplifying and not being like OCD. It's simplifying the space. And then everybody feels like, oh, you know what? Like even my husband will say, it's time to clean out that drawer. Like he'll ask for my help because when you get used to living in a space that isn't cluttered, you enjoy it. You enjoy the calmness and the peacefulness. So, after I have a house full of company, my house looks like everyone else's house. I have a big dog, there's hair everywhere, there's sand everywhere because I live at the beach. I mean, it's a lived in house, but I also have systems in place that make it easy for people to take something out and put something back in and put it away.
I love it because it's not about perfection. It's about you live in it, but to have this system so that you don't stay in that spot, I think is what's key. Regardless of whether it's about food, about organization, about, movement, it's not about having it perfect the entire time. It's about having that movement in and out of that space that you want to be in.
Well, and also having adult children, I tell a lot of my clients that have kids that still live at home, enjoy it. It
Mhm.
goes so fast. You blink your eyes and they're in college, getting married, whatever it may be. Focus on the important stuff. If you need help getting organized, then get help. There's a lot of people have very organized friends say, "Hey, can you come over for an hour and just help with the kids or at school?" Not focusing on perfection, because I can tell you this, I just had a big birthday last week. You'll never achieve perfection. There's no such thing as perfection. There's just trying to do the best that you can do with the resources that you have. And also, that's why on social media, I give instructional videos step by step. The first thing we do is purge. The second thing we do is because it's something people can achieve on their own if they're just given direction.
I love that. And I hope if you didn't catch that, go back and re-listen to that part. Simple steps for you to start implementing right now. Definitely, I think when it comes to being our self-care practices, having that gratitude piece and recognizing, like you said, it goes fast. The things we think are frustrating to us, are gone in an instant, or we don't appreciate them until they're gone, and not sweating the small stuff. Like all these things are definitely so important when it comes to our self-care. What would you say are the things that you're the most grateful for and that you integrate as part of your self-care in general on a regular basis?
Well, I actually just wrote a caption on Instagram on that coincidentally. I have to tell you, at my age, and I just turned 60.
And you would never know if you look better.
Well,
Oh my
thank
gosh.
you so much. But when each decade, as you get older, it shifts on what you're grateful for. And as that I turned 60, the most thing I'm grateful for is health. I have so many friends struggling with cancer, lost spouses. I mean, health, if you don't have your health, really, I mean, I know it sounds cheesy,
Yeah.
but nothing else really matters. So turning 60 and being healthy was just thank you, thank you. The
Mhm.
next thing is family for me. My family was always hugely important to me. But through the past couple of years with COVID, my daughter got married. I mean, it's just been, my family has been everything, because I think when times are tough, you see really who you turn to, and it's your family. And
Mhm.
those are the two top things. And the third thing that I am so grateful for, I didn't start this career until I was older and my kids were older. And so every day I am so blessed and thankful that I have a job that does not feel like work ever. It is just something I love, helping other people, get organized and let go of the past and live in the present. And it just is, that has been just heartwarming in so many ways.
I love it. So where can people find you, Christine? How can they work with you? Because I know they can work with you virtually as well. They don't have to be in Florida, correct?
Correct. So I have a website, neatlydesigned.com. I'm on Instagram at Neatly Designed. I also have a YouTube channel, Neatly Designed, and of course, Facebook, Neatly Designed. So everything is under Neatly Designed.
And all those links will be in the show notes below as well. So thank you so much, Christine, for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. This was great.
So much again for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please let me know any questions or comments that you have. Also, if you can please leave an Apple 5-star review so that this episode can be shared with more women. There's 2 quotes that I love. Alone we may be strong, but together we are stronger, as well as when women support each other, incredible things happen. So let's be stronger and incredible together, as well as maybe just have some fun along the way. Thanks so much and talk to you soon. Bye.